Alright, so this wasn't the plan, but we're probably about to play some somewhat drunk 1-2 or 1-3 with Greg Goes All In and Poker Beast. It should be a good time. I think we're going to Resorts World, about to Uber over. I do not usually drink and play, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we try to vlog it.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
We got a special guest, Vaughan, in the house. Why does hanging out with Greg Go All In feel like I'm constantly in a Broadway show?
Oh my gosh, Ethan.
Look at these guys.
Guys, cannot wait to play with Rampage Poker.
Diving into these Resorts World's hands here, we kick it off by opening King 10 of Spades in early position to $15. Middle position and the cutoff both call, and we give a little sweat to Cato, Poker Beast on our right. The flop comes out Jack 3 deuce with 2 spades, so at this point we've got a flush draw, an over, and a backdoor straight draw, so I'm feeling pretty good here and seems worthy of a C-bet. I throw out $30. Middle position just folds, and the cutoff makes it $60. Yeah, I don't think there's anything we can really do here. Raising doesn't seem to make that much sense. Folding doesn't seem to make that much sense. So I just call. Turn is the 8 of hearts. I check, and he bets $60 once again. I tell him this is a stupid hand, and he says, I'll show you one time. Of course, this makes me instantly call. The river is the 10 of clubs, so we pick up a pair here, but it's hard to think that it's good unless we were already ahead. I check, he just checks it back, and turns out he's got 2 pair with Jack 8 of spades. Man, can I just get a spade one time, dealer? One time? So down a little bit here, 350 in the stack. The cutoff open limps. I got ace 10 offsuit in the straddle here, playing 1-3-6, and I decided to bump it up to $26. The cutoff now makes it the minimum raise $46. I should know better here. It maybe isn't just one hand, but it's certainly only a couple sets of types of hands, and I'm not doing all that well against them. But I actually thought he was a little shorter than he was, so I just rip it in here for what I think is around 130 total, and he snaps with aces. Turns out it's actually $173, so I get penalized for my stupidity a little bit extra. In this next hand, middle position bumps it up to $10, and the button calls. This time, it's my turn for aces. I'm in the big blind with black aces and bump it up to 50. Both of them call, and the flop comes down 9-6-3 rainbow. This board is super dry, and in a multi-way 3-bet pot out of position, I'll do a decent amount of checking even on good boards, especially because middle position is pretty darn short here. He just says 70 behind. So I check, and middle position tosses that $70 stack in the middle. The button folds, I snap call, and we beat an unknown hand because I just turn it over right away. Board runs out bricks, and we win. $500 in the stack now, although we're definitely still stuck since we've rebought for $300 on top of our initial buy-in of $400. The hijack, who is Cato, opens to $15, and I'm in the cutoff with queen 10 off. Not exactly a standard call here, but I'm playing a fun game with my buds. I put it in. The button calls as well, and the big blind, who is Greg Goes All In, bumps it up to $33. Cato calls, and I'm certainly not going away for this size. I call as well, and so does the button. The board comes out Jack 9-3 rainbow. The big blind has checked in the dark, and Cato checks as well. I decide to bet $85 since I'm open-ended and have an overcard here, and we get jammed on for $245. Turn is a 6, river is a queen, and big blind has ace jack. Oh man, it's not the way I expected to get there, but I'll take it.
As he aisles to the poker guys.
I have outs.
There we go.
I apologize because I couldn't find footage of this next hand, but there's $800 in the stack, and Cato opens under the gun. I 3-bet with pocket jacks next to act to $45. The big blind cold calls, and Cato also calls. We go 3 ways to a flop of 8-5 deuce rainbow. Checks to Cato, who leads for $5 into the aggressor. I'm having none of this. I make it 50. Both of them call, which is super weird, and the turn comes the 4 of clubs. Only 1 or 2 hands realistically come in, being 7-6 and ace-3, but the big blind lead jams for $230. Cato folds, and this is a pretty awkward spot. He's betting a pretty sizable percentage of the pot, multi-way, into an aggressor who's representing all of the overpairs. However, I think people sometimes get here with 9s, 10s, and don't really know what to do. They might have something like 8-7 and pick up a tiny bit of equity and just go with it. So I just call it off here, expecting to lose a decent frequency, but not all the time, and not really knowing what he's repping here besides a really weirdly played set. River is a 3, and I'm not really loving it because some random bluffs do come in here. However, he's got pocket 9s, and I'm going to be scooping in another one here. We play another few hands where apparently I chip down because I only have $900 in the stack here. There are 2 limps, and I'm in the small blind with Jack 10 offsuit, and I overlimp. Greg goes all in as in the big blind and raises to $20. Folds around to me, and I make the call as we go heads up to 10 deuce deuce rainbow. I check. He bets $10, which is a pretty nice down bet here. With top pair, I'm not going anywhere. I make the call. Turn is a jack, so I pick up an even stronger hand, a better 2 pair than I had on the flop, and I check. He bets $20 now, and once again, I make the call. I think check raising here would be a bit of an overplay since we still lose to all the overpairs, and it's hard for him to really put us on a lot of bluffs in this spot. On a river 3, I check. He bets 50, and for all the same reasons I only called on the turn, I decide to just call here. I, of course, have the best hand, and he shows us ace-jack. He got pretty unlucky there, just a standard c-bet on the flop, picking up top pair on the turn with top kicker. Can't really get away from that one. In this next hand, I have $1,000 in the stack, and middle position raises it to $9. Cato in the hijack makes the call, and I'm in the cutoff with king-queen offsuit, and I decide to bump it up here to $45. The button jams $54. Middle position folds, Cato calls, and of course, I'm not allowed to do anything here other than call. The action's not reopened, so there's no raising allowed, and I'm certainly not folding for $9 more. The flop comes out Jack 6-3 rainbow, and we're playing an empty side pot between myself and Cato now. Cato checks, and on this board, I'm going to have basically a decent amount of overpairs because, again, I 3-bet and wasn't allowed to 5-bet against the all-in. I'm also going to have hands like ace-jack, king-jack, queen-jack, so it's a pretty reasonable spot to bet this hand. I make a massive down bet. Wait, can one make a massive down bet? I down bet really small to $25 because the side pot is empty, which means the times that we do actually get Cato to fold here, we still have to have equity against the third player in the hand. Cato calls my $25 bet, and the turn is a 3. Cato checks. He kind of pretends like he got excited about the turn card. I call his bullshit and bet 65. He does end up folding, saying that he only called the flop because it was such an inviting bet. And I said, at least I got a $25 rebate from this nonsense. We do end up losing this hand to pocket deuces from the button. Not sure I would advocate his jam pre, but there you go. We couldn't run it down. And we close this session out a small winner. In for $700 at about 11 o'clock at night, out for $1,070 at about 3:45 in the morning. After Poker Out Loud and getting to know Greg and Cato a bit better, it was really cool to spend this time with them. I don't always like playing with friends just because I feel a little bit less excited about winning, but this was a really good time. I was also really happy with Resorts World as this was only one of my first or second times being there, and just overall the staff, the dealers were phenomenal, and they were really open to us vlogging at the table, which is a really nice change of pace for me as I've been shut down at various properties recently. In for 700, out for 1,072, and a pair of Greg Goes All In sunglasses. Which I can't tell if these fit me at all, but I'm gonna guess they don't. And I think I always look ridiculous in sunglasses, but these These are a special kind of ridiculous.